and have your eyes open. And this is like we finished off yesterday, but all the lights are on. I'm not going to turn them off. Turn around yourself to look to your right and turn around yourself to look to the left. And notice what that's like to do when your eyes are open. Do you want to put your finger on the chair? Okay. Now, stop when you're facing front again. And please close your eyes and now turn your head around to the right and turn your head around to the left. And even though I'm just specifying head, know that I don't mean just turn your head. And what's that like to do when your eyes aren't engaged in seeing? Because with your eyes closed, your eyes are no longer actively engaged in seeing the world around you. They're closed. The vision's off, so to speak. Not quite, but a lot. Now, if you're not sure about what the difference is, please go back and forth quite methodically between turning with your eyes open, turning with your eyes closed. And by methodically, I just simply mean do a few repetitions, eyes open, stop. A few repetitions, eyes closed, stop. And ongoingly asking yourself the question, what is it in my experience that I sense is different between one way of performing the act and the other way of performing the act? Because they're the same action, right? Turning, turning, eyes on, eyes off. Now, could it be with one of those options you turn further? Could it be that in your felt sense, the affect, you feel more secure with one and less secure with the other? These are all differences. Could it be that with the eyes closed, you experience more your eyes being engaged rather than the eyes open? So what you search for can be quite varied. Right. Please leave that. And could you lie on the floor in such a way that your heads are towards the front of the room? Oh, that was a momentary waking up. That was nice. You know, in some cultures, it's rude to point the soles of your feet towards people. Lie on your back, please. You've heard Susan mention several times and me mention a little bit yesterday and about the importance of creating a scenario for yourself that is that affords for you the opportunity to sense what you're doing. So let's see what you choose about this. Please open your eyes and roll your head right and left. Now, once again, just because I say roll your head right and left, you know that that doesn't mean don't move anything else. I'm just identifying one part of yourself that might be involved in a whole act. Now, stop in the middle and ask yourself, for those of you who have things behind their head to support their head, ask yourself, is the surface that you're lying on conducive to rolling the head, or is it interfering with rolling the head? Because if you lie on something too soft and your head kind of sinks into it, that means when you roll your head left and right, it's like you have to roll your head uphill to get out of the groove, and then back downhill to get to the middle, and then uphill and downhill. So you can make a choice about the quality of the support that you put behind your head. Does it need to be a little firmer? Does it need to be a little softer? So that you can engage in this exploration without too much bias. And that question is relevant for every lesson you will ever do. So if you need to go and get something firmer, go and get something firmer. It's fine. All right. Now, close your eyes and roll your head left and right. And note, in this body position of great stability, when there is no more anticipation of falling any further because you're on the ground, you can keep your legs bent, that's fine. Is it different to close your eyes and turn your head? So has the affect aspect, the emotional aspect, been changed a little bit by your body position? Now, once again, go back and forth between sometimes rolling your head with the eyes open and sometimes rolling your head with the eyes closed. And notice, is there any difference in the quality of the movement? In other words, is there less is there an absence of strain in the neck when the eyes are open compared to closed? Is the breathing freer when the eyes are open or closed? And then is there any difference in the quantitative aspects of your movement? Do you roll your head further, right and left, when the eyes are open or when they're closed? And then one more question for this, and that is, when are you better able to bring your attention to that inner world of sensation? When your eyes are open or when your eyes are closed? Actually, I think I'd like to get rid of that word inner world of sensation. Maybe just call it the world of sensation. Right. And bring your head to the middle. And let's continue the experiment, the investigation, one step further. Open your eyes and now move your eyes to the right as if you wanted to look to the right, and then bring your eyes back to the middle. And then return your eyes to the middle. Do that several times. And notice, how do you experience your eyes moving to the right, returning to the middle, when they're open? Is the movement smooth? Is the movement jumpy? Do you feel your eyes wavering a little bit upwards, a little bit downwards? Maybe it's not a direct movement to the right, not a direct movement to the middle. When you're getting this sense of the room around you and your eyes moving, are you in a place of knowing much more solidly in yourself where your eyes are? Great. And now let's contrast this with the eyes closed. So please continue doing what you're doing with your eyes, but close the eyes. And when your eyes are closed and there's no longer any visual stimulation coming in from the room around you, are you still able to track your eye movements as well, or is it less so? Or is it just simply different? Stop a moment, and could you take the two index fingers, the right index finger and the left index finger, and lightly place the pads of those two fingers on the front of your closed eyelids, the right on the right eyelid, the left on the left eyelid, where you imagine the pupils of your eyes to be. Now, when I say light, I mean light enough not to interfere with the movement of your eyes, but not so light that you can't feel the movement of your eyes underneath. So now go ahead and move your eyes to the right, bring them back to the middle, and sense with your fingers, your sense of touch, the movement that's happening underneath, behind the eyelid. What do you sense with your fingers? Is the movement smooth? Is it jumpy? Is it a consistent speed, or is it a variable speed? Does it start and stop? Is it all in the same direction, or are there multiple changes of direction? Great. Now take away your hands and see if it's possible to use the touch of your eyelids against your eyes to sense the movement of the eyes. So it's still tactile. The touch of the eyelid to the surface of the eye. And could you use that as a means of tracking where the eyes are moving, in which direction they're moving, how they're moving? And please stop in the middle and give yourself a few moments to refresh yourself and maybe even reflect on some of your experiences. In yesterday's lesson, I asked you, when you are simply resting your eyes and you're not doing anything particular with them, how do they rest in the sockets? In which direction are the pupils of the eyes directed? Do you remember that question? Is it the same today? Or are the eyes resting differently today? Could you please open your eyes? And with your eyes open, could you look or gaze upon some part of the ceiling that's directly in front of you at the level of your eyes? That means up there, up being the ceiling. And once you're gazing there, there's no need to stare, just see what you're seeing. But do ask yourself, is this position of the eyes what you just felt a few moments ago when you were just simply resting, or is this different? Are your pupils in a different place? Is this a different position of your eyeballs in the socket? Now, very slowly, please don't do this fast, very slowly, instead of looking at the ceiling ahead of you, could you gradually move your eyes as if you wanted to see your nose? And I don't mean the tip of your nose, I mean the bridge of your nose near the corners, the inside corners of the eyes. Notice when the quality of the movement changes into strain. If you feel the muscles of the eyes straining, please do less. And from here, now move your eyes to see that place on the ceiling that you were looking at a few moments ago, and feel how the eyes move. Now, I invite you to do this many times very slowly. To the ceiling, to the bridge of the nose, to the ceiling, to the bridge of the nose. With a very particular question in mind, really clearly as you possibly can, identifying for yourself where the eyes are moving, how they're moving as you go between these two different places of looking with the eyes. And now continue doing what you're doing with your eyes, but please close them. Have the eyes closed. So now there is no more visual stimulus from the world. And now behind closed eyes, and all you have left now is no visual information of what the eyes are doing, but purely tactile, proprioceptive information. And notice that you still know when you're looking towards your nose and when you're looking towards the ceiling. Now, very softly and very slowly open your eyes and keep doing what you're doing. Can you feel the difference of moving your eyes when they're open as distinct from when they're closed? For some of you, the difference will be extraordinary. For others of you, it's hardly, no difference. Great. Please stop and pause for a while. So this business of closing the eyes, opening the eyes, closing the eyes, in these lessons, you're asked intentionally to do them with your eyes closed most of the time. And that's for a reason. It's not just a willy-nilly kind of a win. And the reason is this: your eyes are the organs through which you engage with the world. And if you try to do these lessons with the eyes open and that engagement just is there all the time, then your eyes are already preoccupied with their habitual ways of moving. That's neither good nor bad, except if you're trying to create situations where you can discover and find a new way of moving your eyes. If you have your eyes open all the time, can you see how the habit that you already have will just keep on tugging you back, which doesn't leave open very much the possibility of finding new ways? So by closing your eyes, you're disengaging from your usual habits of seeing, which then opens the doors a little bit to explore other possibilities because your system's no longer engaged in the habitual way of doing things. Please leave your eyes closed and bend your legs. Stand the soles of your feet on the floor. And now start to direct both of your eyes to the right and bring them back to the middle. Do that several times. And now the next time your eyes in the middle, stop there. And in your imagination, could you imagine yourself looking at that point on the ceiling, that place on the ceiling that you were looking at with your eyes open a few moments ago? It's as if that place on the ceiling was like a nice, far distant horizon all the way out there, up there towards the ceiling. And now imagine your eyes focused at that distance, and now take your eyes to the right and bring them back to the middle. Notice if that feels different. When your eyes are organized to focus at something at a distance, is the movement different to what you were just doing when the movement was unspecified, how the eyes needed to be? Now bring your eyes to the middle. Softly, softly open your eyes. Look at that place on the ceiling. And now intentionally look with your eyes, tracking from that point on the ceiling to the right, more onto the ceiling, onto the right, to the right, to the right, until you reach the place where the ceiling meets the wall. And then come back again. And then to the right, to the right, to the right, until your eyes are seeing the wall, and then go a little bit down the wall. And then back to the middle, to that place that you're looking at. And then again, along the ceiling to the right, down the wall to the right. For some of you, maybe even down to the floor, where the wall meets the floor. And then come back again. And given that the muscles in the eyes are working, be careful not to go so far that you experience strain. Matter of fact, intentionally seek the absence of strain. Or to say it in a positive way, ease. Look for ease, the absence of strain. Now continue what you're doing, but do it with your eyes closed. And here is where you can draw on your imagination. Yes, you can imagine your eyes looking at that distance towards the ceiling, and then you can sweep your eyes around to the right in a very big arc. You can imagine them going down the wall towards the floor, and then coming, and then returning again. And for some of you, this will be a very different way of moving your eyes to what you did yesterday. And it could be that when you move your eyes this way, you're more able to stay engaged with sensing because you're not disturbing yourself too much. That you're clearer with what the eyes are doing. That's good. And that's what often variations are about. Enabling yourself to remain engaged. Great. Let that be in rest, please. So very often in lessons, there are multiple variations of any particular act. They're all possible. And it could be through one of those variations, you find out a detail, a way of mobilizing yourself that you go, that's how I can remain engaged. That's how I can make sense and move myself through this process. They're really important realizations. Please bend your legs again, stand your feet on the floor. Start with your eyes closed. Now, once again, imagine yourself looking at the ceiling and start to direct your eyes, sweep them around to the right, and then return them to the middle, but do that in a very specific way. Go very, very fast to the right, and then come back to the middle very, very slowly. Flick the eyes to the right, return slowly to the middle. Flick, return. Flick, return. And the next time your eyes are in the middle, stop there and consider the next variation. Slowly take your eyes to the right and then flip them back to the middle. And after you've considered it, do it. You know, that can be a very useful strategy. You hear something, you consider it. In other words, you mull it over for a little while. What is being asked for? What am I about to do? And then once you've flavored it, tasted it, you do it. And now another variation, slowly take your eyes to the right and slowly bring them back. So that at no time does the speed vary. It's just a constant speed. And some of you might discover that even though you have that intention, you still feel your eyes doing these little jumps. And that's got something to do with the way the eyes function in different tasks. But we'll cover that. flick to the right, flick to the middle, flick to the right, flick to the middle. So very often when we're upright, standing and looking at scenes, our eyes will flick to a detail and then flick to another detail, and there won't be any registering of what's between the two. Flick, flick. That's a different one. That's also how we might use our attention. We flick our attention to one thing, then we flick it to another, and we don't register what's in between. Stop flicking and just rest, please. Okay, bend your legs, stand your feet. And now take your right eye to the right and stay there. And make sure that you pick a place to stay where you can sustain that position over a period of time. And with the right eye off to the right like that, start to take it a little bit down in the direction of your feet and a little bit up, just like you did yesterday. A little bit cheekwards, a little bit eyebrowwards. And notice how that's a little bit of an arc. The eye moves through a little bit of an arc. Attend closely to your head, your neck, the shoulders, and notice, is there any tendency for those parts of yourself to start to get involved? And the invitation is this: if you can feel your head, your neck, your shoulders starting to become involved, let them become involved. Which means you might start to roll your head a little bit to the right as the eyes go to the right, and you bring the head to the middle as the eyes come here, arc back. Let the head follow the eyes. Let the neck be organized by the movement of the eyes. Let the upper shoulders be mobilized, involved, orchestrated by the movement of the eyes. Which doesn't mean that you intentionally move them. You're intentionally moving your eyes, but it doesn't mean you're intentionally rolling your head. The head is just being orchestrated by the movement of the eyes. Now, stop. Bring your right eye to look forward of yourself. And now with that same right eye, bring the right eye to look towards the inside corner. That's the corner near the bridge of your nose. And come back to the middle. Just do that several times. Middle, inside corner, middle. And because you haven't really done this systematically before, what is your tendency? Do you change how you move your eyes? Are you no longer looking at a distance? Have you started to change where your focus is? And now is the time to ask yourself, is there something I can do to get clear in my sensation so that I can better feel what's going on and I can make this smoother, easier? And the next time that your right eye is to the left, stay to the left and go a little bit down with the eye and around in an arc to the middle, and then up with the eye and around in an arc to the middle, and go back and forth like that in this tiny little arc. And just like you did before, if you start to feel your head, your neck, your shoulders becoming involved, by all means, let them play. You don't have to inhibit that. And you might find that your head rolls to the left, and then rolls to the middle, rolls to the left, rolls to the middle. And you can correlate that with your attention, noting when does the head roll to the left? What are the eyes doing? When does the head tend to roll to the middle? What are the eyes doing? And through that process, you find out about this very intimate relationship between the movement of the eyes, the movement of the head, that was learned so long ago, just after sucking. Right. Let that be. Pause for a while. So you know, when we're first born, our vision is not that well developed. You know, we see things very blurrily, very close to ourselves. So it's over a period of time that we learn to see at a distance. So our early experiences as infants were with our eyes very closely focused, quite close to our very shallow focus. And then as we began to grow up, that focus increased and the clarity increased over distance. Please roll to one side and come up to sit. And sit facing the back of the room. Yeah, so you don't have to look at me. Yeah, that's nice. Have your eyes open. And now gaze with your eyes at the distance towards the back of the room. And move your eyes in such a way that you start to track from that back wall around to the right, to the side wall, and then around to the right, more to the right, more to the right, more to the right. And maybe for some of you, you could track your eyes so much around to the right that it's as if you could almost see your right ear. And then come back to the middle. Do that several times. And probably now is a good time to remind you, you know, you can still create conditions in which enable you to have the greatest amount of sensitivity with the most amount of comfort so that you can stay engaged in a lesson, in this lesson that is very useful for you. So if you need to sit in a chair facing the back of the room, you sit in a chair facing the back of the room. If you need to squat on your heels to sit, squat on your heels to sit. If you need to cross your legs to sit, cross your legs to sit. If you need to sit asymmetrically, sit asymmetrically. I didn't specify how to sit, just sit. And now continue, but with your eyes closed. If you want, you can even lean on the floor with your hands. That's fine. And as you take your eyes around to the right, notice whether the head, the neck, the shoulders, and maybe the rest of you starts to become orchestrated to follow the eyes. And this is where it starts to get a little tricky, because I'm not suggesting to you that you have to mobilize the rest of yourself, but I'm trying to direct your attention to sensing, is there something already being formed that will take your head off to the right, that will invite the head to go to the right, to follow the eyes, or the shoulders, the chest. Now bring the eyes to the middle and re-explore the same idea, but taking your eyes to the left. So the back of the room, more to the left of the back of the room, more to the left of the back of the room, more to the left of the back of the room, more to the left, more to the left, until your eyes have moved so far that maybe you can see your left ear. And this is an interesting way of working, sensing where your eyes are in the room, then sensing where your eyes are relative to your own face. Room, face, room, face, room, orbits of the eyes, room. If you've got your eyes closed, open them. If you have your eyes open, close them, continue. Great. Rest a little bit again. You can rest sitting, you can rest lying. Please roll to one side, come up to sit. And sit any way you like, but not in the way that you sat before. So sit in the way that is different. It doesn't matter how different, just different. But knowing that you're facing the back of the room. Great. So now in this new sitting scenario, open your eyes and take your eyes to the right. And then from there, look a little bit downwards and to the middle of the room, and then upwards and to the middle of the back of the room, So basically you're doing the same movement that you've been doing, making that little arc in the corner of your eye, but now with your eyes open. And I wonder, can you practice this skill of being inclusive with your attention so that you can monitor what you're seeing in the room and also monitor where your eye is relative to the corner of the eye? And it could start off being a little bit of a jump backwards and forwards. Now I'm here, now I'm there, now I'm here, now I'm there. But you know, with practice, there's a way of using your attention that is very inclusive, and it feels like you're doing both at once. And for those of you who've been doing awareness through movement for a long time, could you extend that inclusion to sensing what happens in the chest, whether you shift your weight on your buttocks, whether there's any sense of turning in the trunk? So you've got the whole orchestral score going on. And now please continue, but with the eyes closed, so that you can reconnect with the feeling of moving the eyes within the field of sensation of the face. And then once you've reconnected with those sensations of the eyes moving within the face, then you, at your own time, when you're ready, you can reopen the eyes and then note, can you now include the sensation of the eye moving in the field of sensation of the face, and also the eyes moving in the field of sensation of the light of this room and the surfaces of the walls? Great. Re-explore that to the left. So direct your eyes to the left. And if it makes it simpler for you, just think of the right eye. Don't think of both eyes. Just think of the right eye. Don't worry, your left eye will follow. And switch between the two, sometimes having the eyes open, sometimes having the eyes closed, until you start to form a more and more and more elaborated image of what you're doing. A body image, a self-image, whatever image you want to call, but an image of yourself in action. And all the time, it's the eyes that are leading. Oh, why not? Let's give the job to the piccolo for once. That poor piccolo never gets a chance to shine in the orchestra. Great. Please leave that and come to standing. And do you remember which end of the room were you facing when we started the lesson? So face the direction that you remember facing at the beginning. I don't mean yesterday. And just simply turn your head right and left with the eyes open and feel what that's like now. Which beginning? That's a good question. Is there a different experience of yourself turning? Is that there? And having a second go of going through this lesson, has something changed in the way you engaged with it? Good. Let that be. Walk a little bit, feel what walking's like. And let's go into a 10-minute break. Okay?